Hello, everyone, and welcome to an Attack of the Show that might seem a little bit different. Yes, you're seeing Attack of the Show going on up in this general area, but down below, there's something else going on. It's Attack of the Commentary. We're giving you a behind-the-scenes peek at Attack of the Show. We're going to let you know what goes into making each segment, the trials and tribulations of being a daily live television show with zero money or energy. I am Kevin Pereira. I'm evident by the faux hawk and short torso. And this is Jeff McFarlane to my right.
Line producer.
Joshua Brentano, the series producer.
I'm Eric Alt, the writer.
Eric, you have by far the sexiest shadow, the sexiest silhouette
I also
of the
have
group.
a little bit of a profile there, huh? Look at that.
I like that.
That's a movie star profile.
Attack.
Put a piece of paper up there and trace that. Huh?
The camera comes in. I pretend to have energy, like I care about this. And this is something that we call our A block. And Jeff, you stack the show, which means you line up all the items.
We've
Maybe you can talk a little bit about how this A block works.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the stuff you guys decide is in all the cool stuff and snippets you guys talk about is decided in the news meeting. And I'm usually so hungover in the morning that I get to roll in at about 10 while you guys are in there. But I come in. Yeah, on the Segway. It depends on which day of the week, you know. I have a Segway.
Right. So in the news meeting every morning at 9, we come in and people from everybody on the team gets together and brings news stories, things that we might want to talk about here at the top of the show, and sometimes a painful, sometimes an easy meeting to go through and decide what we talk about.
Lots of wacky animal stories are brought in.
That's the word. Oh, so there's a squirrel in Florida that ran up a telephone pole and got attacked by a
guy robbed a bank with a badger.
You know, we don't do those stories on our show, right? We haven't for the last year that you've been bringing those stories, right, Jeff?
I don't go to the meeting. I stack it in the morning. I stack the show, so I get to. We plan out shows like weeks in advance, which segments are going to be what day, and I get to decide what order they go into the show, and then when we have the production meeting, that all changes, and then I got to redo it again.
But we also try to do things that are like topical, pop culture. Like right here, we're talking about Lost, which was like a big deal the night before. So we try to come in early and be like, hey, this is what everyone's talking about. Let's do something with it.
Yeah, we kind of recently, I think it's been a shift in focus for the better, because we'd all sit around before our news meeting before we decide what we want to talk about at the top of the show in the A block, and we realized, well, why don't we just talk about what we were talking about before the meeting even started, which in this case was Lost, and it was
also, where's Jeff McFarlane?
Exactly. And then I pass by the big room and I have to do that. Don't look.
Sometimes you stumble and trip on the Pac-Man machine and hit your head on the glass.
Usually, yeah, twice a day I do that.
Gold, Jerry.
But it's a good wake up. So this particular episode, we saw this. What? Is this 2 weeks old? A week old? Does anybody know?
This is the 10th.
I don't remember who I talked to yesterday on the show.
So it's about
November 10th.
2 weeks. I don't know when this is going to air though, so it could be like
this is in
6
December,
months from now.
This is actually 4 years old.
Kevin's actually, did you know, a little known fact, Kevin's actually 43.
Yes.
43.
Oh.
Yes.
You're nuts.
He sleeps in an oxygen tank.
Studio Tech 25 is the makeup that I use. It's a cream and a powder base. It's really nice hybrid.
Putty knife. You apply that with a putty knife, right?
Liberally.
Well, the other thing to note here too is, you know, when we're trying to choose these stories in the morning and things that we think are going to be fun, going to be cool to show on television, you know, we also have to think about, you know, what we can show, what we can, you know, what we can illustrate it with, because
what we can't show.
We couldn't show clips from the actual show, so we had to kind of talk around it and show pictures of Shannon
and come up with a creative way to talk about it. So we get some photos instead of paying $15,000 for a 30-second clip, you know, from Lost. So, you know, all of that kind of goes into what we do in the morning. And then we come to the second story here, which typically we start out with something big, like Eric said, so a big story that's getting a lot of buzz.
And then something completely lame. Something so woefully uninteresting that we know the audience is just
like showing something that's supposed to be high def to kids watching on a black and white TV at home.
Yes.
Awesome. That translates so well.
Yeah. So this particular one was the high def Halo. I think we're going to show some screenshots. This is Compellivision.
This is. Don't you call the character who comes up as the sergeant? But don't you call him Master Chief?
Do I?
Yeah. I think so.
We'll make you look like a fool here in just a minute.
Wow, that's awesome.
When it shows up.
This is I don't really, you know, unless Adam Sessler's in the control room feeding stuff into my ear, I don't actually play video games. So that's what I go for.
Yeah, we're just telling him too
now
much.
This is cool here. I don't know if you see up in this area above Jeff. This is a web page.
Text
and not full
TV.
screen, by the way.
There were some tabs up there.
Yeah.
So here comes. Here,
On Xbox. Would I just shut up and show the screenshot? Jeez, is this what it's like watching our show? There's a reason I don't. I just go home and get drunk.
That's what Jeff in the control room. Jeff is yelling in Kevin's ear. Show the picture. Show the picture. Show the picture. And there it is.
Wait for it. I'm off my
Here it is.
rocker. On the left, it's the 480p version of the game, and you can see Master Chief.
Master Chief.
Not him. Big circle. Not
Actually, yes, that's Master Chief without his mask.
Yeah, that's true.
He took the helmet off. I happen to know him personally. We've been hanging out for years.
No.
This debate will be settled in the
Maybe
forums,
Bongers
I'm
in
sure.
Santa Cruz State, baby. Woo, banana slugs!
Not at all.
No?
Here's an interesting little tidbit. We used to get emails and stuff from people asking us, well, how do you get your web pages? How do you get your stuff to show the computer to scan out to the television to make it look all pretty?
Right.
And we actually have under there, there are big multi-$1,000 scan converters that convert the computer stuff into something you can show on TV, but you can't. It doesn't show the high
But
def.
wait, something more interesting, penis jokes coming up.
Yes. They always work, by the way.
This is something, too, where we heard something in the news. It was like Enrique Iglesias is going to have a line of small condoms. It turned out to be not true, but we decided, hey, we can obviously do something funny with that. So we break out the old green screen, and we have Luis Hurtado whip up some graphics, and we grab our PA Anthony, and
we had to contact
a big mole on his face.
Iglesias' publicist.
Right, we had to call his people.
We actually called and verified.
Well, we needed to make sure. We need to find out whether it was real or not to kind of help us determine
Didn't
if
tell him we were going to make
We should start
a
checking
skit
facts in the
about-
feed, too.
Yeah.
Not just
No. That limits
sorry.
me.
that makes Eric's
What
job
I think
much
is
more
important to
difficult.
note here is that some shows
World of make-believe.
have days to come up with their bits. And, even in like an SNL, we'll have a week to really work on a joke. This was we literally showed up that morning. Someone brought this story to the news meeting about the Enrique condoms, and we literally have to say, okay, well, we've got an hour essentially of
let's throw this
downtime
together.
to film something to try and make this joke funny, and we typically fail, but we try.
But which is why all of our skits star people in the office, because we don't have time to cast. We just
That's right.
grab whoever's available.
It's like, oh, can we have a cut? Can we edit?
Right.
No,
No,
we
no,
can't.
no,
We can
no.
film somebody in front of a green
You
screen.
have a
But you know
green
what?
screen.
I think the box just really pushes our creativity and annoys our viewers. I think it's great.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Most of the time. There it is.
Up. PA Anthony
is.
Rogers.
There it is.
Yes,
That's our
there
PA,
it is.
Anthony
There he
Rogers.
is, everyone.
Down here it says Enrique
Look at this necklace.
Canos.
Look at that.
That's actually his necklace,
Yeah.
too.
He actually
Wardrobe.
spent like an hour running out to find that at like a Home Depot.
I thought we were going to use those like novelty condoms. Like I wanted to see him actually roll it down with like the little reservoir. if you
Little,
will. Look at
There you go. Instant comedy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there it is.
hilarity.
And that's
There you go. That's nice, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm selling it. That's a callback.
Right. Well,
industry to call it.
it's interesting because that little what was that 15-second skit, 30-second skit. There's a lot that goes into that. You set up
35 minutes or something in pre-show.
Yeah, you have to set up a green screen. You have to get wardrobe. You have to, like you said, go to the animator. It has to be edited. You
Makeup
have
had
to
to
find
put a mole on our
music.
PA.
Right.
At like 2:30. At 2:30 we start all the
We
pre-show
debated the
bits.
size of the mole on his face. We thought it was too small, it was too big.
Right. So we start at 2:30.
Yeah.
And like Jeff said, that stuff that one probably did take us 20 minutes, potentially to shoot it.
Relationship
and get
call
it right.
Thursday.
Oh man,
Started
I
as a
wish-
joke
I
and
wish
never
these
went
were-
away.
Yeah,
That's
this
right.
was actually Relationship Called Thursday was started by Adam Sessler, who out of spite just kind of said, well, why don't we take relationship calls? Because he was really over and done with guest hosting for free, and we said let's do it, and it stuck. And Sarah whined and complained
she
that she was going
loves
to
it.
quit
She
if she didn't get to
loves
do it,
Relationship
and now
Thursday.
It's funny. When you get callers, you have to get a caller that calls in with the right kind of question. We can talk about that later when we actually hear the callers call into the show. But there it is, Relationship
First person
Thursday.
these are always really good. This is a LAN party check-in. This is where we tease. Look at that. Someone in our LAN party.
Yep. So obviously there she is. We have a guest in the LAN party, so all the viewers can play.
wanna
This
know
guy,
that guy
this I
is
think
in
is
the back.
Jeremy's buddy.
really?
Someone said that he brings his buddies in on Thursday because they love the LAN party. Yeah, and they just come in to play.
That's right. So if you know anybody here,
So Jeremy's
works
buddy
here.
is
So
in the
the
back.
message is, fans at home, if you show up at our studio, odds are you will be on the air.
no, you will not. Do not listen to Eric. You're not getting. We won't let you in.
We will. We'll give him a job, actually. Oh, this was great. This is a lost bit. We should let this go.
Right. Yeah, we had Will O'Neill there.
You should explain this when we come back. I guess we're about to go to break, but
Yeah.
what he says backwards is actually teasing.
Yeah, people translated it in the forums. They instantly.
And
they
Eric,
All right, stop
wrap
talking,
it.
commercial
Every
time, go.
done.
Oh, hey, welcome back, everybody. Attack of the commentary, actually.
There it is.
This is a little special something we're doing. I'm Kevin Pereira. To my right is our line producer, Jeff McFarland. Hello. Yeah, you're mobile. There you go. And we've slotted in 2 new folks. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the kids at
I'm
home.
Gavin Purcell, supervising producer of the show.
And I'm Scott Michella. I'm one of the segment producers.
Right. So Gavin thinks he's better than everybody on the team, and Scott knows it. Is that how you guys
I think
work?
that's usually how it runs.
All
That
right.
works.
So now, before you guys were here,
Actually
you're watching
says
the show on the
that
control.
on
Before we went to
Scott's
break,
business cards.
we had Will O'Neill,
Yes.
drenched in water, doing
Yeah.
a little toss back to Lost.
And I specifically wanted to bring this up again because I remember having the argument. We'll get to this is Charlie Todd, who we'll get to in a second. I think it was a really interesting guest, and Scott and I talked a little bit about this. But I remember having the argument with Kevin and Sarah both that they felt that Will was not wet enough
And he
in the
was
scene
not.
that we did. He was so wet enough. It was ridiculous.
Listen, did you see the Lost episode?
I did see the last
When
episode.
Walt walks
Yes.
into the little teepee hut thing,
Yes.
there is literally like a device that is making water pour from his head. Like he's actually pouring water.
We need more water.
yeah,
You know,
there's no
we had
device at
Will
the
dip his
sword.
head into a bowl of
I
water.
will not budge. He was wet enough.
And
Let's
for the
move
record,
along, actually.
for the record-
Well,
Well,
for on one side note, for like Uber Tag the Show fanboys, he actually, if you play what he says and you
Yes.
play it backwards, he's teasing Fresh Ink, and Fresh Ink was supposed to be in the B block, but we changed the stack, and Will had already recorded that VO, and so Improv was supposed to be in the C block, and Fresh Ink was gonna come in after this.
This is just a
This is
daily.
like an episode of Lost. You know?
This is
I'm just
When are we
saying.
gonna learn about that the Tailies
So,
did this
so he
hour?
says he's like Fresh
This
Ink
is
coming
just
up
a
next.
daily
He says
occurrence in
it's-
the action-packed life of a line producer. I mean, this is what Jeff has to
It
deal
is,
with.
dude.
I think you got a movie deal in you somewhere.
Scott Michelle, why are you here? What are you doing?
drunk all the
I
time.
actually produced this segment here with Charlie Todd. I was his primary contact, and I wrote most of the questions that Sarah asks.
So now, what do your primary contact? You call him up and say, "Hey, we have a television show. We'd like you to come on it." How does it work?
I actually had to contact his people first. Charlie has an agent now
Oh, he has
because
people.
he's been on VH1. He was in Rolling Stone. So I called Charlie Todd's people. They got
But
me
you
in touch
call and
with
say, "Hey, let's
Charlie.
get him on a real network," and he says, "Yeah, we'd love
Our
to show up."
talent department actually books Charlie.
Let's
so-
step back, you guys, real quick, and just talk about guests on the show because I don't know if everybody knows how guests come on the show. I mean, they don't magically
You
appear on the
pitch this
couch.
guy, right?
I pitch this guy, but I mean, the whole thing is every Wednesday night we do a pitch meeting in which everybody in the show is expected to pitch different people. I saw this guy in a couple different places. Number one, I heard from
the
Sean
phone
Hart.
is going off.
The producer's phone just went off during a
Let me
taping.
continue my story.
Yeah,
please.
continue.
Sean Hart, one of the guys that came in and guest host for us, told me about this guy, and then I happened to read about him in the Rolling Stone issue not that long ago, and it's a really interesting story. And all of us had seen his YouTube bit because it blew up on the internet maybe like a year ago, something
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I've been a fan of Charlie Todd since.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
2000.
just turning on my phone since it's apparently cool to have phones on. Go ahead, Scott.
I've been a fan of Charlie since
Screw
since
you, Pereira.
2002. So I go way back.
2002.
And actually,
Yeah,
my first call with
fan
Charlie
calendar.
was basically one of these like I don't know. I get starstruck sometimes, and Charlie was one of these people who I was a little starstruck by because I've followed his work for the longest
That happened to
time.
me too, and this is like you know you're a nerd when like that happened to me with Will Wright, the guy who designed SimCity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it's the dumbest thing in the world, but you'll meet people like I've interviewed a bunch of celebrities, and the person that's starstruck with me is like Will Wright, which is just the dumbest thing.
Yeah, and we've had Weird Al on the show, and but
So, yeah,
I
similar,
was
yeah.
I was more starstruck by Charlie Todd.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about how these are produced. So basically, we get a guy in, he comes on, like say Charlie Todd here. Scott's responsible basically for gathering the materials to kind of represent him on television because he's going to come on as himself. Now,
quick note.
Yeah, let's talk about this clip. Go
Scott,
ahead.
see this.
Yeah, lean a little bit over.
He's
real
talking
quick.
about how a segment, or this bit where they walk around the train with no pants, and this girl's reading a book called Rape. Look how freaked out she is.
It's the worst thing.
I don't know if you can see he's not wearing any.
Yeah, just at the end of the clip, you'll see that she actually does laugh at this.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
Clutching her
but
purse.
this is something that Charlie's group does every year now. It's a annual gag that they play, and they've got like upwards of 100 pranks that they've pulled inside Manhattan.
Pranksters.
Let's talk about the direction of this stuff too, because you
look
guys
at the
notice
space between them, by the way. Do you notice that?
the what?
There's a lot of space between those
No,
two.
you know what?
Wow.
It looks like a lot of space, but when
That's an
you're
ocean
actually
couch.
sitting on the couch,
It's
there's
not. Yeah.
not a lot of
No.
space
Yeah.
between
They're
them.
I think
actually
that-
touching. Their thighs are touching. It's a weird optical illusion.
Kevin actually sleeps on that couch.
Nightly.
Yeah, he does.
Nightly.
During
They
the
just-
show sometimes.
They just throw the Variety magazine over my head, and that's that.
a couple of paper bags.
Yeah.
Paper bags as blankets.
You did a good job. Kid.
Good job, kiddo.
Cover yourself up.
We'll leave the heater on tonight.
Oh, so
you did good.
getting back to the behind-the-scenes stuff, Charlie's people, actually Charlie sent me a DVD full of some clips of their work. I asked Charlie to pick some of his favorite pranks, and that's what we showed off.
Oh, cool.
So, and these pictures are actually straight from Charlie's website, and we sent them to an animator. Our animator Lewis just animates them for us.
I mean, it's very technical the way he does the zooming in or the rotating of the images.
Yeah,
very compelling.
It's the one thing that's hard with our show a lot of times, I think people may or may not realize it, they probably do, is that a lot of the guests we have on are not your typical guests, so we actually have to find unique ways to kind of portray what they do, especially if something stills. I mean, I think Brian Keller will come on and talk about this, how they do it in comics, but anything that's still, when you put it on TV and it's not moving, it's going to look pretty boring.
Right.
Because your eye will pick it up in a second, and like 5 seconds later, you're like, why am I still looking at this thing? And I think it's important to make sure that, people at home realize it does take a lot of work to put stuff like that together, and there's a lot of talented people on staff who do that every day.
Yeah, that's why Charlie was a great guest, is that normally, we do a lot of, we deal with a lot of bloggers and stuff like that, and, you get guys on who literally their life or their work, they're authors, and it's all text.
Yeah.
And so,
you get a lot of web page scans.
we can scroll a web
They spend
page
like
for 6
18 hours
seconds,
a day in front of a computer and maybe half an hour talking to human beings.
Exactly.
Sometimes,
So we have to cover them up and come up with creative ways, but I think we do a pretty good job
And
of that.
speaking of creative people, I want to mention Michael Britton, who did the really awesome plasma graphics for most of our guests. And that one up there was so cool that Charlie
You just
actually
touched Sarah inappropriately, by the way. That was the wrong
that
calling HR, Scott.
the one that we had made up for Charlie, he liked it so much that we sent him the original artwork, and he's going to probably use it for either his DVD or for his website.
That's great.
Cool.
So if you're a guest, free artworok.
We'll give you something. There's bananas in the green room, and you get free art.
Pudding cups. Lots of pudding cups.
The bananas are actually a nice touch. I've noticed the fruit content in the green room has gone
We've
up
definitely
a little
upped
bit.
it. There used to be a lot of goldfish.
Yeah.
Up here.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is when Sarah thanks
There's
the
definitely
guest
like
and-
the mechanics of our show, which you'll see, and there's like tosses and teases, things like that. Those sometimes sound like technical terms, but we use them every day now. A tease basically is when she's tossing the break straight to camera
This is
and
a
she's saying
contact
something.
bump.
This is what we call a contact bump, because this is where we tell you how to get in contact with us.
We don't really pay attention to anything.
Yeah, not really.
But essentially, just know we tell you what you're going to see about 15 times throughout the show, and I'm not going to tell you what you're going to see
And
now.
we're done.
And we're back! Welcome back to the show! All right, so don't adjust your television sets. You haven't been pirated by a bunch of silhouettes. This is Attack of the Commentary. I'm Kevin Pereira, Justin McFarland.
Heather Frank, coordinating producer.
Brian Keller, segment producer.
And
Fresh Ink.
what we're doing here is giving you a little behind-the-scenes peek of the show. And yes, as Brian said, he is the producer on this bad boy here, Fresh Ink. Tell us about it.
Fresh Ink. Well, the funny thing about Fresh Ink is
Originally called
it's been a
Comic Book
while.
Jamboree.
Yeah, Comic Book Jamboree. It's been a while. We've been wanting to do comics for a really long time, and we tried it a bunch of times, and
But we always got paper cuts.
Get it? It worked a few times. It worked, it didn't work other times. But it's funny because I have a stack of comic books on my desk, and Blair would always come over. Blair's the writer on X-Play, and she would always come over and read these comic books. And Mike Shaw one day said, "Hey, you know what? Let's do the comic book roundup with Blair," and it worked out really well.
Sometimes the talent is right under your nose or in the next cube in this type of office.
Yeah.
And you thought she was just hanging out with you because she wanted to be buddies. But
She was working it. She was booming it.
She's always talking about
She heard that there was a buzz around the office about a comic book roundup. But we tried it with all the other co-hosts. And like I said, sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't not so good, But Blair worked out great. And I think the interesting is the message boards. Sometimes sometimes they could be negative, but with Blair it was like Blair for co-host.
She has
Blair's
breasts,
awesome.
by the way.
They can totally, all the fanboys relate to her.
A real girl?
You like comics?
She touched the comic. Then let's post immediately.
Interesting thing about Blair is she always wears turquoise. If you go back to the other Fresh
She
Ink,
always has matching
she's
sneakers
got
too.
one show I think she wears yellow, but every other time she has turquoise. Yeah, and she always has matching.
And she has those little hippie like ponytails that go little side things.
It looks good,
She does
buddy.
that a lot.
Well, the funny thing is people see Blair around the office.
Easy. I know you're in
Can't say she
silhouette.
looks good. All right, she looks like crap.
There you go.
Graphics look amazing. How long does
trash.
it take to get those roll-ins produced?
I'm not seeing
Steve
any
Concatelli.
roll-ins. Steve Concatelli.
Yeah, Steve, our editor, we did a little edited by Steve.
Edited
He
by
despises.
Steve.
He despises doing those.
It takes like 2 days
Well,
to
not-
get
it
those
doesn't
things
take 2
done.
days.
It does
It's
too.
very
No,
difficult.
it takes. He gets them the night before, and he
He's
does
the
them the night
sassiest
before.
segment producer by
Oh yeah,
far.
the surly.
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 Your mom's surly.
That's the thing.
Here we go. These are the Romans that Heather's talking about, and there's some nice girl-on-girl action going on there. Obviously, it's post-coital or coital, however you say that. Smoking a cigarette.
You like to burn each other during the act. I don't know what you're doing. I certainly don't save it for the after party.
It's love making.
Yeah. Hey,
But
to
it takes
each
Steve
their
a
own.
really long time to do these.
They're beds
But they look
They
great.
look great.
They look
Really
great. It's
good.
hard to do comic books, and yeah, but he pulls it off every week.
Maybe it's hard for you.
Begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, yeah. He mumbles.
Yeah. So now, Brian, do you think a real producer can make this segment happen without, backing up the edits and annoying the editors and stuff?
No. No. Sorry. I have to do all these back alley deals, and I gotta pay people off.
No, what's great is that I got to commend you on the turnaround time, because we really try to do comics that are timely, that have come out that week. So you literally,
So Brian runs out in the morning on Wednesday, runs back.
There's always an argument in the news meeting where it's like, Brian, can you do the day of runner? And I'm like, no, I gotta go get the comics. We
then
can send a PA to get the comics. Like, no, I gotta go get them.
I don't get surly.
Yeah.
What do you know? You're
throw down
asleep at your
mouse.
cube every day.
Yeah, where are you during the news meeting?
This is. I'm too busy. It's cutting into my 3-hour lunch.
Oh yes, all those lunch breaks.
Yeah.
He's trying that new sleep schedule where it's like, awake for like 3 hours and then you sleep for 20 minutes.
The power nap, the executive power nap.
Yeah. Let's do a green screen wave.
Ready?
All right.
Let's just do it. Brian, you want to start it off? Let's see it. Here it is.
Here we go.
Whoa! Woo! I'm sending it back. Watch out! So this is what we think our audience does at home during Freshing.
Oh, they're sitting around doing the wave?
Yeah, it's good wave, buddy.
Good wave.
Yeah.
Good wave, Heather. Good wave.
Good wave, Brian.
Nice. This is my favorite part here. Is not that's
her like
this
personal
particular
pick.
comic, but yeah,
It's a
Blair's
great
personal
comic, too.
picks, because she actually cares about this crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's cool is they're older. They're not always. The other three are usually fresh off the presses, but like this one is an older comic, and she always
Has an
kind of
interesting
digs. Yeah,
backstory.
she digs back to get some other things in there, which is really cool.
Does anything happen?
And the boards do call for it's always Superman, it's always Batman. Let's see some indie stuff. So that's one of the reasons we started doing
I
that.
thought they loved the segment, Brian. I thought they didn't have.
They
any
do,
idea.
but I mean, there's
Oh.
every once in a while.
Easy to ignore the
You
bad,
are
isn't it?
full of lies, Brian. This is a house of lies.
So you're gonna read it and be like, more, and then get
What's she talking about?
She's great. She's great.
A couple weeks ago it was great.
5-minute segment. It goes
She
like
could
so
talk
fast,
like
'cause you just-
days about this stuff.
And Blair says sausages, and it gets a huge laugh.
Always.
Sausages.
Always.
There you go.
Oh, this is the tease. This is what I'm telling you what's coming up, because we're done talking about comics, and we'll probably talk about something even nerdier next.
What's
You're
next?
so good at teases, Kevin.
Thank you, by the
You're
way.
so
You are
good.
None of that
such
is
a
written. None of that is written, by the
More
way.
tease.
That's all
You
ad-libbed.
tease
You're an
me every
incredible
day.
ad-libber.
So wait for the camera shot to pull out. There it is, and we'll see you after the commercial, folks.
Later.
Look at the book.
Yeah, sing it, Jeff. Everybody, welcome back to Attack of the Commentary. Sarah's wrong. I'm Kevin Pereira. Next to me, of course, line producer Jeff McFarland. We brought back writer Eric Alt because he's the only funny person on our staff.
Only writer, too.
And in complete profile for some reason.
I'm Jim Downs. I'm the executive producer of the show.
And
and
you're
I'm the
awkwardly looking at all of us.
Yeah,
I'm
just staring at it.
I'm the very funny looking person.
We'll also be joined by my growling stomach. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm very hungry.
Awesome. That's good to hear. So Jim, your job on the show?
Well, as the executive producer, I'm ultimately responsible for all aspects of the production. And really, the mundane stuff like employees angry at each other, complaining about how you mistreat and grope them around the office.
Kevin slaps around a lot of people.
It's for morale. It's for morale.
Our stage manager has a black eye almost every single day. It's terrible.
He deserves it. He's an old man. He's angry. In fact,
lot of
Andy,
people-
come here.
Andy can't hold.
Andy's off to the side. Andy, just do me a, just run by the green screen and wave your arms above your head at least. Let him see you. Do a good run. Yeah! There it is. Yeah. He is a true showman. Okay, so what's going on here, Jim? How'd you approve? You approve some of the segments from day to day, right? At least the overall feel and the direction of the show.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of very, I'd say, at the mid altitudes, maybe sort of,
Jim is a pilot, by the way.
mid altitudes, 10 to 20,000 feet, mostly in the 15s, in the teens. I'm operating. Gavin Purcell, who was on here earlier, is more hands-on in the trenches with the very day-to-day stuff. But when certain things come up, like approvals or things that
Should
he's
we
like,
really stick that web server there?
yeah, precisely. Or do you think it's gonna, is it gonna upset our sponsors if we do this? Or boys, do you think we can get away with this with our legal department, et cetera, et cetera?
Sure.
I'll generally say, you know what?
Riveting TV.
I don't care what they say. Let's do it anyway. Or, yeah, let's not do that.
Gotcha. Eric?
Yes. I'm sorry, I was riveted by this. This is great TV
There's
right
a spreadsheet
here. A
on the screen.
spreadsheet on TV.
Yeah, not many networks are doing that. We like to throw it to the Excel
breaking new
spreadsheet.
ground.
Avant garde, you know?
Yeah, take that Daily Show.
Colbert Report.
Who needs Nielsen families? And so, Eric, I think it's important to note that this is Sarah's ad-libbing all this. None of this is written.
Yep,
But
yep.
you have a metric ton of writing to do every day, and it's just you.
Yeah, just me. I mean, guys like like Casey Schreiner, Mike Shaw will work. They help out writing like skits and things like that.
They don't. They really don't.
But a lot of the day-to-day stuff is just me. Like the teases. I was listening to the commentary the last break. The teases out, the tag-ins, the feed, which we'll get to.
Feed's coming up right now.
Pretty much anything that sounds scripted is scripted. Right. That's my pearl of wisdom.
Here, see, this is scripted right here. I'm not that witty. Wait for it.
And
Oh,
feed. Now, I always think the feed should almost come with like a disclaimer, like the opinions expressed in the feed are not necessarily those of Sarah Lane, her parents, subsidiary companies.
That is your opinion.
Pretty much shoehorn my own ideas, but. To be fair, I don't trust.
I know you're pinko leftist.
No, I don't trust any government. If the Democrats actually did something, I would make fun of it. But right now, hey, it's the Republicans.
You got to go with what works.
So equal opportunity,
right?
scofflaw.
Yeah.
And most people don't know it. Jim, you actually animated the feed intro in MS Paint over a week.
Yeah, it's actually we have no. That's right. That's my other job that I know I don't talk about a lot.
We can talk about the B-roll a little bit. Like we try to be a little bit creative with it. Try to make jokes in the B-roll.
That was B-roll, by the way. B-roll is anything that covers us up when we're talking, essentially.
A funny story about B-roll. What in the process of casting, on the scripts, there'll be a run of copy being the words that you read.
Right. Hey,
and
here
then,
comes the feed.
Yeah, and
then
here comes
it'll
the
say,
feed, and then it says B-R-O-L-L, and then you continue reading. The B-roll would be where that secondary footage comes in. Well, when we've done some casting in the past, there it is.
Women B-roll, the best.
Those are all licensed stills that we go out and find.
That's McFarlane's grandmother.
Yeah, except for that one.
Grandma McFarlane.
Back in the old country.
But so the auditioners would actually say brol?
They would say brol. So they'd read and go brol. So we have plenty of tape of people
Would you laugh at them?
We did.
Yeah.
But after a while of 300 people saying brol, somehow the humor goes away.
The magic went away.
Yeah.
So just so that people know, it's like we pick these stories in the news meeting again with the A block, and we come back here, and we pick 4 that are good. We try to get some variety. And then I go back to my desk, and I have like an hour to...
And cry into a bottle of Jack Daniels.
I have to sit there and go like, how do I make a story about Intel processors funny?
That's the best when you walk by, Eric's cube, and he's just working on something that's really kind of geeky. And he's just like, hey, what's up, man? What are you doing? Just trying to figure out this. There's something about microchips or something. How am I going to make microchips funny?
I have an hour
They announced the new megahertz.
I have an hour to get all the facts and then try to make them in some way entertaining, which is why we're so
And Jim
factually
dresses like a
accurate.
Roman soldier behind you and just consistently whips you to make it funnier, which doesn't help, I think, Jim. Right.
Eric's got a punching wall where he just
Call it an idea board.
No, but I mean, at the top of the day, I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about process a little bit, but the first thing we do is really, this is the #1 priority in the day, is deciding what's going to go in the
cool
feed.
stuff in the feed.
Because it is the most heavily scripted part of the show.
And this is the least scripted part of the show that we all just really don't care about. It just kind of happens every day.
The phones ring and we answer them.
Exactly. And we stopped giving out the number about a year ago, but they keep calling. This is the phone call portion, and I think maybe we should speak to a little bit about. I'm sure there's fans watching that wonder why they either can't get through or why they get through, but then they mysteriously get hung up on because they're awkward.
The answer is incompetent.
There you go. Right. We
Oh,
simply
no,
just
no,
don't know
I'm
how to
sorry,
use
no,
the
no, no.
phones.
Well, if you're going to call in, you got to remember that, you got to be,
Easy, buddy. Jim, take it. Go. Pick it up.
The callers are basically, if you think about it, they are, for the brief time they're on the phone, cast members of the show.
Right.
So it's important that they're saying things that are meaningful, entertaining, or funny.
So why don't we hold Chris Gore to those standards?
Zing,
come on! You know he's watching it.
Picking on Gore when he's not around. So I mean, they have to add to the show. So we try to pick questions that are going to give you guys fodder.
Right.
So
Not, how do I get a girl? I want to touch a boob. Like you all want that.
Yeah.
Give us something more interesting, right?
Yeah, and I think I enjoy when women call in to ask questions about their boyfriends or want-to-be boyfriends.
Right.
Yeah. And this specifically being relationship calls, correct?
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But we do calls, obviously, on lots of different topics. But it's always about adding to the show, which, believe it or not, is not as easy as it sounds.
Right.
Why do they call you Adam now? This has been like a running joke, like 3 or 4 times.
Because it was funny about a year and a half ago, and some people just can't let it go, I guess. So.
Is it like Adam Sessler?
I think it's Adam Sessler.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm obviously not standing next to Morgan Webb, so.
Man, you have all your hair. Oh,
come on! I love the Sarah Lane. Actually, it's funny. Like people really believe that Sarah and I really just have it out for each other, and that like we have contract killers assigned for each other. But it's not exactly the case.
Yeah. Well, this is a great moment
I mean,
for
you guys talk, right?
We talk, yeah. We try not to unless the cameras are on. But
a designated 5-minute session once a month and schedule it.
Jim
Lock you two in a room.
Jim calls us into his office. All right, pretend your friend's in front of me so I can go to HR and say you're not going to choke her, Kevin.
Also, relationship calls are great because we get little tidbits into Kevin's twisted love life. Lots of hentai references. And if people don't know what that is, look it up.
The hentai.
Look it up. We're not even going to talk about it. Just look up hentai on the internet when your mom's not around.
You really don't want to talk about it?
Actually, yeah, well, I do want to talk about it. Can we talk about it?
We can talk about it.
All right, cool,
I mean,
let's
just
talk about
think like tentacles.
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm not into the tentacle stuff.
Japanese, animated.
Schoolgirl and
I thought
sub,
hentai was
fine,
exclusively tentacles.
I don't believe it is. No, I think
it's like demon rape.
I'm so glad this debate is captured forever.
Okay, so this is the awkward moment of the commentary that's wrapping up the awkward moment of the calls. This was all scripted, by the way. We still have another call. More relationship advice? Jeff, how did you not kill this in the movie? How did you not end this misery?
Well, you guys in the A block, like as a line producer, I have to time out some of the show, or most of the show.
In fact, all of the show.
All of the show. And in the A block, if they go longer, like I have to take time away from certain segments within the show. And the first things that go are, first thing is like chat, and then calls get whittled down. So you guys must have really breezed through the A block, and then.
Well, I think we did. This was the day with the lost episode, honestly. Yeah, so this was a pretty quick show up until this point.
And then it came to a grinding halt.
I'd love if Andy could just run by one more time. That'd make me really happy. Andy can. Andy, ladies and gentlemen! Oh, that's so good. Can we do that when we come back in January? Can we just have him run out? That is brilliant.
Maybe a cartwheel?
Yeah. Oh, man, if he's capable,
I don't know.
I'd love to see that. We don't break a hip.
No, but, but on the topic of calls, we're sort of winding down here, but, I think that when they're well produced, they're a really meaningful part of the show. I think that because it really gives the people who are watching a chance to talk directly to you guys.
Right.
And I know we definitely want to expand into more interactive content, whether it's like SMS interaction with the show or making chat a bigger part of it. That's something that people can look forward to in the coming episodes.
Sweet.
Plus, you get free stuff.
Yeah.
And they can finally find out whether or not you want an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 3.
If I get that question one more time. In fact, I'm just going to pummel you during the commercial break, Eric, for making that joke. We'll be right back with more Attack of the Commentary. iPod of the Stars! Hey, welcome back, Attack of the Commentary. Kevin Pereira.
Real quick.
Real quick, go ahead. Go.
Oh, the Cougar Run. This is Ashton Kutcher's iPod, and a cougar is like an older gal who is into young dudes. So they call it like cougar parties, where young dudes would go meet older ladies. So that's just, Eric wanted me to point that out. He writes these and
no one cares.
All
right, I'm Kevin Pereira. This is Jeff McFarland, line producer.
Josh Montana, associate producer. I talked to you earlier.
And this is Adam Wright, associate producer.
Is good for you and a guest.
Adam,
full of enthusiasm.
Adam, can I get you a Soviet adrenaline rush?
I had a very long night last night.
What'd you do last night, Adam?
Well, let's talk about the show.
I really want to hear what he knows.
Let's talk about the show. Rise of Rodman Meadow LAN party.
Yes.
All right. Adam, so this is your baby, right?
Yeah, I'm responsible for this every week. Yes, the Luscious LAN party.
Luscious.
It looks like we're playing Fear, and that's...
Who is this gal? What did she do again?
Anna Marie Lytle.
She's an actress, right?
Yeah, she's an actress.
So,
Yes.
and we get these guests in the LAN party every week, so people home can play against them.
Always
Right.
lovely ladies in the LAN party.
Lovely,
Always.
luscious
That's right.
ladies in the LAN party.
And how do you choose the LAN party games and go and get all that stuff set up?
Oh, well, I mean, it kind of depends on what's out currently. We usually like to do something that's relatively new, that can support a lot of players and stuff, so that we can have fun and stay sort of on the cutting edge.
I like that we're talking about the game, but seeing these.
Yeah, but we're seeing these
adorable
wonderful
photos.
little
That was Feel the Magic right there, wasn't it? It was a little DS
And
game.
it's always a challenge to kind of make all of this work every week, with our guests, and then with the video game aspect of it,
But you
usually
had fun with it. I mean, we had Jessica Chobot in there. We came up with like a console taste test of sorts.
That was good. Oh, you had when you flew the helicopter?
Flew the helicopter, we brought in lights and a wind
we
machine.
got the butt kicker here.
Oh, when you grabbed the stunt, the gal who was.
yeah,
that's
right.
Hey, she deserved that. She had it coming.
Hey, you went a little easy on her. I've seen you with your mom, and that was.
Well, just warming up for your mom.
Oh, another mom joke.
That's it. Ding. Let's get a little camera at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
Hey, that was not the button. Did you try to take it back? Did you just try to erase
I did. I
it?
tried to erase it.
So, Adam, this was the butt kicker segment?
This is the butt kicker, right? This is that thing basically you can plug it into a computer, you can plug it into your console, game console, and it basically will replicate sound for you in motion. It basically will shake your seat, right? So
you're basically strapping a subwoofer to your ass.
Basically, yeah, it shakes your seat a little bit and you have fun with it.
That cannot be good.
But we always have to find something, some kind of shtick for this every week, and thank God for Kevin for selling it. He always has a great perspective on the
Although
comedy
Kevin's
and
in here, normally Brendan does it.
Right.
Yeah, Brendan.
But Kevin got to do it today because Brendan was probably out shooting something fun.
Whenever Brendan does it, doesn't he always have a surfboard? We have like the land party, beach party.
Yeah.
A couple times.
Oh, that Brendan Moran.
Let Brandon go.
Where is he, by the way? Oh, just not working today?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
He got the day off.
Whatever. It happens. All right, that's the end of the LAN party.
There it is.
That's how the segment goes down, folks.
That's right. Very simple, very straightforward. If
Adam
you want
Wright.
to play at home,
Holding it down. Oh, yeah, you can go to g4tv.com/something somewhere
right,
and get info and join us at our LAN party.
That's right. Oh.
And there we go.
And
the
there's our
computers are brought to you by
sponsor.
Intel.
Yeah, sponsored by Intel.
It's heavy. We'll see you after the break, folks, with more Attack of the Commentary. Hey, we're back.
Kevin was just touching my leg.
I was inappropriately. This is Attack of the Commentary, and this is where we're giving you like a behind-the-scenes peek at how the show goes down. This is a coming-up tease, where we're letting you know what's coming on the next show, but nothing's really coming up on the show, really, since this is airing in December, right? Awesome. Yeah. Kevin Pereira here.
Jeff. That's it.
Okay. He's going to one name now. Gavin Purcell, I'm back from earlier, and next to me is...
Mike Shaw. I produced this Smart Bomb segment.
Yes.
I am king of the E and the F block for some reason.
And the DV Doomsday master.
Yes, that's true. He is the master of Doomsday.
Yeah.
We call Mike the king of the E or the F block because he ends up getting assigned a lot of the guests that end up later in the show. And it doesn't mean they're bad guests. It just means sometimes they're a little more...
It means Mike's a bad producer.
Well,
Right. It's more.
I didn't want to say it that way, Jeff. Let's go back. But I mean, some of the guests he has to produce are definitely more difficult in the way that they're book authors or they're more intellectual guests. So it makes it a little more difficult. But he does a great job with this.
So yeah, you need a more creative producer to help, those segments out.
Yeah. So anyway, this segment was interesting. It's basically two people wrote a book about the video game industry. We've all heard a lot about the video game industry, and this was a good segment. But I think more importantly,
Pay attention.
after Kevin and Jeff stopped,
There's a bird in the studio.
after they finished what they're doing,
Good.
Mike was the one who really came up with the name for the show. I think that's kind of what we should talk about. So,
Yes,
so
Mike is the reason we have to say the AOPS.
yeah.
Did you think about the acronym at all?
Have the death threats stopped before we admit this?
Yes, I think so.
I think that's we're past that.
Yeah.
Tell us about
Of course,
the,
they
the
were always
real
death
name,
threats
Mike.
against Kevin and not
Wrote a
against you, so you didn't have to worry
One
so
of
much.
many manifestos.
Well, let's start from the beginning. Okay, so when we were trying to rename the show, it was very difficult. I don't know, all you people out there, if you try to come up with a name for a show, it was very hard. Trust me, there were literally thousands of names that we tried
Me
to come
Time
up with.
featuring Kevin Pereira.
Yeah, Me Time.
Kevin
Well, we all
Happy
liked
Hour,
that one a lot.
Power.
It was a really good idea. Anyway, there were thousands of names. Literally, there was a list with more than 1,000 names on it. And Mike basically, well, just tell us what happened. Tell us kind of starters in the beginning of your idea.
They were offering a free iPod Mini to the person who came up with the name of the show. So I figured, what the heck? I'll give it a try. So I came up with a list, about 20 or so names, and for some reason, a couple people started, really thinking that Attack of the Show was a cool one.
Well, we started to think it was two 50s kind of.
Yeah, well, that was the worry always, was like it was going to be like
Attack of the Show in black and white.
Yeah, but the funny thing to me is
monsters.
like the feed ant is kind of like the ants from that movie Them, which always
I
that's
love
what it
doing this,
reminded me
turning
of, like
this
is Attack of the Giant Ants.
Copy
Yeah, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, where are you going, Gavin? Oh, you're still.
Just putting down that stupid claw.
Yeah, the more I thought about it, I thought, this should be the new name, because not only did it, I felt it like really kind of set the tone, set a vision, and said something other than just, you know, this is an hour of live variety TV. You know, I think it really, in the end, it really did say something about the show. So, in order to convince everybody of the way I felt, I ended up writing, I don't know, 2-page long.
You're like our own little Karl Marx.
Yeah.
Talk about Call Me Pinko.
He stood up in a meeting and unfolds his paper and looks into
shakes it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what Attack of the Show means.
He wrote
Let me tell you.
Pain and blood.
But he put it on, he explained it with like a puppet show, right?
Yeah, dioramas are shoebox.
By the end,
That's right. Little Trojan twist at the bottom.
Popsicle sticks.
So, Mike, are you happy? Did you get the mini eventually?
I did. I did. It took them a couple months, but I
Still
got
listen to it to this day.
And my
wife
Isn't
has
it
it.
engraved? You said it was engraved, right?
Yeah.
With the show logo?
There's a lot of an intern.
My take on the name was when I first heard it, I really didn't like it. I kind of didn't. I don't think I like. When it came up in the news meeting or one of the meetings we had, I think we were down for. It was a couple weeks before we went down for the week to restructure the show, and I was like, I just don't like it. And literally, there was like a moment in my brain where I was like, you know what? It's like all about whether you take it literally or not. And I think that if you don't take it as literally, it means a lot more. And I think you can kind of interpret it in many different ways. And the same way that The Daily Show, I think, is a really smart name for a show because, like...
I'm sorry, continue. No. Daily Show is a smart name.
Where's the
Oh, Kevin!
We'll go beep it. It's all right. We can go beep it afterwards.
Come on, we better take the...
So we can just start
we'll just beep it afterwards.
Can I, is that carte blanche? Does it drop F-bombs now?
No, you can't drop F-bombs.
Oh, come on, you just said f***.
This is so nice.
Oh, say f***.
We'll go back and
I never
beep it
get to say f***. We're always lying.
That's like 5.
All right. No, you were right. I'm sorry. You the Daily Show thing. I was just trying to keep them entertained while you were talking.
Moving on.
No, it's an ironic name, and
you call me hippie, and you got the
out?
hawk.
Come on, let's hug this out. Let's hug it out in silhouette. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here now.
How much longer does this segment have to go?
I don't know.
I felt like this interview went for too long.
Jeff is the one who's supposed to yell in our ears. Cut.
Hey,
hold the book up.
There it is. Okay, that means it's over.
This was a great interview. Come on.
It was a good interview. The people
and they were great.
And it was another great F block produced by Mike Shaw.
And really, and if you haven't read Smart Bomb and you want to know the stories of the people behind the industry, you really should. It's actually really fascinating.
It is a really good book. And the industry is actually pretty interesting when you learn about it.
It really, It's like, wow, it's just not complete losers making these things. They're losers with stories.
And we're coming up to the end of the show pretty soon.
And that's it, the first censored F block we've ever had on the show. We'll be back with more.
I take responsibility.
In a couple seconds.
Bye-bye. Jesus!
Oh, you...
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Attack of the Commentary. I'm Kevin Pereira.
Jeffrey.
Anthony Rogers, production assistant. Jeremy Hache, PA.
All right, so you guys are our two production assistants. I guess we'll start with you, Anthony. What are your responsibilities day to day?
Well, through the show, I get to set up the callers from the start of the show. I have about 15, 20 minutes to set up decent 3 or 4 callers. And then from there on, I work on the chat questions. What you see during the feed, the B-roll, I also am responsible for setting that up in the morning.
And Jeremy, you...
I basically just watch Anthony and point a lot. I'm like, hey, look what he's doing. And I basically follow him around. That's it.
But during the show, while I'm on the phone with these crazy callers, Jeremy gets to input everything in near darkness.
Are the callers really that crazy?
So.
Now, how many kids do you go through before you find one that can actually form a sentence?
Honestly, about 15. But, you know, it depends on what the topic is for that day. If we're taking relationship calls, it's just a whole nother ball game. But
they love the relationship calls.
Yeah, they love the relationship
calls. Well, they'd love to
calls.
have a relationship.
They call on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with their relationship calls.
So Jeremy, let's talk about your mom for a second. No, I'm serious. That was an interesting point of conversation before we started taping.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your mother, Jeremy.
Oh, she's a nice woman. She spawned the single most electrifying human being on Attack of the Show, which is me.
That's you, Rocket Jeremy. Now, how many appearances have you had on the show, Rocket Jeremy?
He was in the blue tights. Do you remember that?
3.
When he came out in the skin suit?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I do. You had the blue, there's a picture on my Moblog of you streaking to the studio.
Oh, yeah.
The tightest, we were like smuggling.
That wasn't blue, that was purple.
Anthony is Copperfield.
That's right.
Anthony's been David Copperfield and Enrique Iglesias.
Yeah.
Now, do your families watch the show? Do they tune in when they know you're going to be on?
Family watches the show all the time. I call and let the family know what's going on.
I have to call ahead because my family doesn't particularly care for the show.
And just so your families know, you guys are the hardest working PAs ever, and it's an honor having you on the team. Thank you guys for joining us for the commentary, and thank you everybody at home for watching Attack of the Commentary, a little sneak peek behind the scenes. We will see you all, I suppose, in January when it's time for even more attacking. Take care, everyone. Paperclip on his ear.